and dwell.
Business moments suggests we need.
You know what's fascinating? Language learning is like building a house from scratch. You start with a foundation of simple greetings and end up constructing entire conversations. Today we're exploring how that process actually works.
Well, that's such an interesting way to look at it. How did you come to think about language learning that way?
So I was listening to this remarkable approach to teaching English, and it really opened my eyes to how methodically we can break down something as complex as language into these perfectly sized building blocks.
That's really intriguing. What kind of building blocks are we talking about?
Well, imagine starting with just hello and good morning. These universal greetings that transcend cultures. From there, you build up to expressing how you're feeling, then counting, telling time. It's like watching a child discover language all over again.
You know what's fascinating about that? The way those simple greetings actually carry different cultural weights in different languages.
Exactly right. And what really caught my attention was how they structured these lessons to mirror natural human interaction. You start with how are you? And build up to expressing preferences like I like pizza or I drink coffee.
That reminds me of the way children naturally acquire language. They start with concrete objects they can see and touch, before moving to abstract concepts.
Well, here's what's really clever about their approach. They introduced numbers early on, but not just as abstract concepts. They connected them to real-world scenarios like telling time or counting objects.
That's such a practical approach. How did they handle more complex concepts?
So they did something really brilliant. They broke down daily activities into these manageable chunks. Instead of overwhelming learners with complex grammar, they started with simple phrases like I wake up at 7 or I go to work at 9.
Well, that's actually quite sophisticated when you think about it. They're teaching time, numbers, and activities all at once, without making it feel overwhelming.
And here's what really struck me. They used this natural progression where each new concept built on the previous ones. By the time they got to food and drinks, learners already had the foundation to say I like or I want.
That's fascinating. It's like they're creating a language web rather than just a linear progression.
Precisely. And what really got me thinking was how they incorporated cultural elements without explicitly teaching them. Like the way how are you in English is often just a greeting, not actually asking for a detailed response. And
that's such an important point about language learning. It's not just about the words, but about how they're used in context.
Well, speaking of context, they did this amazing thing where they taught the days of the week by connecting them to activities. So it wasn't just memorizing Monday through Sunday, it was understanding how these words fit into your daily life. And
that's really clever. It makes the learning immediately applicable to real situations.
And here's another fascinating aspect. They use repetition strategically, but not in a boring way. They'd introduce a concept, practice it in isolation, then immediately incorporate it into natural conversation.
You know what's interesting about that approach? It mirrors how our brains actually form new neural pathways when learning.
Exactly right, and they took it even further by building these little scenarios. Like teaching objects wasn't just listing chair, table, book, it was creating mini stories like I have a book or the book is on the table.
That's really bringing the language to life, making it dynamic rather than static.
Well, here's what I found most impressive. They managed to teach complex concepts without ever using complex language. Everything was explained in simple terms that a beginner could understand.
That must require incredible skill to teach something complex while keeping the language simple.
It really does. And you know what else they did brilliantly? They incorporated natural pauses for practice, giving learners time to actually use what they were learning instead of just passively listening.
That active participation is so crucial for language acquisition, isn't it?
Absolutely right. And they structured these practice sessions in this really clever way where they'd build up from individual words to complete sentences. So by the end, learners could actually have a basic conversation.
That's such a confidence builder for new language learners.
And speaking of confidence, they did this remarkable thing where they celebrated every attempt at speaking. There was no focus on perfect pronunciation or grammar. It was all about communication.
That's so important for keeping learners motivated and engaged.
Well, here's another fascinating aspect. They integrated numbers and time in a way that made practical sense. Instead of just counting, they were teaching how to tell time, how to talk about schedules, how to make plans.
That's really bringing the language into the real world, making it immediately useful.
Exactly. And they did this brilliant thing where they taught food vocabulary alongside likes and dislikes, so learners could immediately express their preferences and make choices in restaurants.
That must be so empowering for new language learners, being able to order their own food right away.
Well, that's just it. Everything was designed to give learners these small wins, these moments of success that keep them motivated to continue learning.
You know, this whole approach really challenges our traditional notions of language education.
It really does, and here's what I think is most revolutionary about it. They treated language learning not as an academic exercise, but as a tool for human connection.
That's such a powerful shift in perspective.
And you know what really brings it all together? The way they ended with this practice conversation that incorporated everything they taught. It showed learners how all these pieces fit together in real communication.
That must be so satisfying for learners, seeing how far they've come in just one lesson.
Well, it really drives home the point that language learning isn't about perfection, it's about progress. Every small step takes you closer to being able to connect with others in meaningful ways.
That's such a beautiful way to look at it. Language as a bridge between people.
And isn't that what it's all about? Whether you're saying hello for the first time or having a complex conversation about your day, it's all about making those human connections.
Well, this has certainly given me a new perspective on language learning.
You know what? I think we've all got a little language learner inside us, just waiting for the right approach to bring it out. It's never too late to start building those bridges.
Welcome to English Pod. My name's Erica.
And I'm Marco.
So Marco, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great, and I'm really looking forward to our lesson because we're going to the eye doctor today.
Okay, so we've got an elementary lesson about going to the eye doctor.
Yes.
Well, let's get started then with our vocabulary preview.
Vocabulary preview.
We have 3 words today in our vocabulary preview. All 3 words come from our dialogue. Our first word is struggle.
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 So Marco, when I struggle to do something, what does that mean?
It means it's difficult. It means that you have a hard time, so you can't really do it very quickly.
So you have to try really hard.
You have to try really hard.
Yeah, to do something that's difficult.
Yes.
Okay, our next word is
Blurry.
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 Blurry. B-L-U-R-R-Y.
Blurry. Whenever something is blurry, you can't really see it well.
It's not clear.
Right.
That's right. Everything will be blurry. Okay, and our final word is
Prescription.
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 Often when you go to the doctor and you need some medicine, he writes out a prescription.
Right. A little paper that says all the medicine that you need, and then you can go to the drugstore and buy it.
Exactly. Okay, so those 3 words you'll hear in today's dialogue, and I think it's time we listen to the dialogue.
Hello, Arthur. What seems to be the problem?
Hey, Doc. Well, I think I might need glasses. I'm getting headaches and I really struggle to see things that are far away. But I've always had 20/20 vision.
Sounds like you might be farsighted. Okay, then, cover your left eye and read the chart in front of you.
X, B, R, 3, question mark, and I can't quite make out the other symbol, but I think it's the peace sign.
Wow, Arthur, you're as blind as a bat.
Yeah, I know. My vision is really blurry at times.
Okay, then, head over to the other room and pick out some frames while I fill out your prescription.
Thanks, Doc.
Arthur, that's the bathroom.
Well, this guy really has poor vision, hey? Well, actually, you know what? I've walked into the bathroom, the men's bathroom, actually, instead of the women's bathroom, and that's not because I wasn't wearing my glasses.
It's because you weren't paying attention.
That's true.
Okay, let's take a look today at our language takeaway.
Language takeaway.
The first word on our language takeaway for today is 20/20 vision.
20/20 vision.
20/20 vision.
If I have 20/20 vision,
It means that you have perfect vision.
which I do not have.
No, me neither. So I usually wear glasses as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, people that have 20/20 vision don't need glasses. They can see clearly
And perfectly.
and perfectly.
Yeah. Next word is far-sighted.
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 So if I'm farsighted, I can't see very well, right?
So if you're farsighted, you can see things that are near.
So you can see things that are far away,
Right.
but things that are close are blurry. Okay.
The opposite would be,
Nearsighted.
and which is,
You can see things that are close well.
but not far.
Yeah. Okay.
Farsighted and nearsighted.
Okay, so our next word is make out.
Make out.
Make out.
Make out.
Make out. That's kind of a funny little phrase, and let's listen to a few examples of this phrase so we can understand how it's used.
Example 1.
I can't make out what this says. The writing is too small.
Example 2.
If you look carefully, you can almost make out a few of the stars in the sky.
Example 3.
Can you see what's written on the sign there?
No, I can't quite make it out.
Okay, so basically make out is to see clearly.
Exactly.
Make out.
To see.
Okay, and our last word for language takeaway today is blind as a bat.
Blind as a bat.
Blind as a bat.
So this is a really funny sounding expression, one of these weird English idioms.
Yeah, it's a really common expression that just means that you can't see,
Exactly. So it's not like you actually are blind, right?
but you just really can't see very well.
Okay. All right, we saw 4 great words today in our language takeaway. Now I think we can listen to our dialogue another time.
But this time it's going to be slower so we can pick up all these great words that we just talked about.
Hello, Arthur. What seems to be the problem?
Hey, Doc. Well, I think I might need glasses. I'm getting headaches, and I really struggle to see things that are far away. But I've always had 20/20 vision.
Sounds like you may be farsighted. Okay, then. Cover your left eye and read the chart in front of you.
X, E, R, 3, question mark, and I can't quite make out the other symbol, but I think it's a peace sign.
Wow. Arthur, you're as blind as a bat.
Yeah, I know. My vision is really blurry at times.
Okay, then. Head on over to the other room and pick out some frames while I fill out your prescription.
Thanks, Doc.
Arthur, that's the bathroom.
All right, great stuff on our dialogue, and with this we can start now with putting it together.
Putting it together.
So we saw a couple useful phrases in this dialogue, and I think we can show you how to use these phrases in a few different ways.
Right. The first one that we have today is what seems to be.
So we heard in the dialogue, the doctor said,
What seems to be the problem?
we can use this same expression in a number of different ways. Let's listen.
Example 1.
What seems to be the problem?
Example 2.
What seems to be the matter?
Example 3.
What seems to be the trouble?
Okay, so with these examples, we can see how we can use the phrase what seems to be in many different ways.
Yeah, it's a great way of asking, what's the problem?
So now let's take a look at another phrase.
We heard in the dialogue, the doctor said, head on over to the other room.
Right. And with this phrase, head on, we can combine it with other prepositions to indicate another place.
Exactly. Let's hear 3 examples.
Example 1.
Head on in.
Example 2.
Head on out.
Example 3.
Head on up.
Okay, so for example, we can say, head on into the house, it's gonna rain soon.
Or we can say, hey guys, let's head on out to the park.
Or I can also say, head on up to my room, I'll be there in a second.
Great. Those are some cool phrases.
Right, and they're really useful.
So why don't we listen to our dialogue and maybe we'll hear them again.
Hello, Arthur. What seems to be the problem?
Hey, Doc. Well, I think I might need glasses. I'm getting headaches and I really struggle to see things that are far away. But I've always had 20/20 vision.
Sounds like you might be farsighted. Okay then, cover your left eye and read the chart in front of you.
X, B, R, 3, question mark, and I can't quite make out the other symbol, but I think it's the peace sign.
Wow, Arthur, you're as blind as a bat.
Yeah, I know. My vision is really blurry at times.
Okay then, head over to the other room and pick out some frames while I fill out your prescription.
Thanks, Doc.
Arthur, that's the bathroom.
Okay, so talking about going to the eye doctor today, I have a question for our listeners.
A challenge for the listeners.
What's it called when you can't distinguish colors?
So like when you can't tell the difference between red and blue and green.
Right. So what is that condition called? So
there's like a technical term. We want the technical term.
We want the technical term. So we'll be looking for it on our comments page, and be sure to, if you know the answer, post it.
At englishpod.com. Also, if you have questions about today's lesson or any other lesson, please come and visit our website and ask us.
Yeah, we hope to see you there, but until then, it's
goodbye.
Are you looking for an easy and fun way to learn English? Welcome to our channel. We provide simple and clear English conversations to help you improve your English skills. Whether you are a beginner or want to get better at speaking, listening, reading, or writing, our channel is the perfect place for you.
Are you looking for an easy and fun way to learn English? Welcome to our channel. We provide simple and clear English conversations to help you improve your English skills. Whether you are a beginner or want to get better at speaking, listening, reading, or writing, our channel is the perfect place for you. Our channel offers real-life English conversations on different topics, making it easy to understand and learn new words and phrases. By listening to our podcast, you will get better at pronouncing words correctly, understanding native speakers, and building confidence in speaking English. Each episode is designed to help you learn naturally without stress. Why should you subscribe? Because our channel helps you learn English in an easy and enjoyable way. You will hear different topics, practice new words, and understand English better. We make learning fun and stress-free, so you can feel confident using English in real life. By following our channel, you will notice a big improvement in your English skills. Our content is simple, clear, and useful for everyday conversations. Whether you're at home, walking, or relaxing, you can listen anytime and keep learning. The more you listen, the faster you will improve.
Hello everyone and welcome to English Pod. My name is Marco.
My name is Catherine, and today's lesson is an advanced level lesson. That means we'll be speaking using our normal English tone of voice and using some very, very difficult vocabulary and phrases. So this is really good practice for all of you out there.
That's right. We're going to change a little bit the dynamic of how it works. We're not going to look specifically at language takeaway or fluency builder. We're going to talk about the topic. We are going to pick out a couple of different words and phrases that are used in the dialogue, but we're mainly going to just have a conversation, and you can just listen and study a little bit of what we're saying.
So what is the topic today, Marco?
Well, today we're going to talk about the environment, specifically about our carbon footprint.
Okay, that is the title of today's lesson. I encourage all of you to listen to the context of that phrase, and we'll be back in a moment to talk about what it and some of these other phrases mean.
So what's your guys' take on all this global warming hysteria in the media?
It's pretty serious, man. There have been tons of scientific studies, and the scientific community says that the Earth is heating up. We need to make some drastic changes to our lifestyle if we want to preserve our planet.
I don't know. It sounds like a bunch of mumble jumbo if you ask me. The Earth will save itself. It survived the worst disasters in the past. I mean, honestly, we live in the boonies. There's no way anyone here is ever going to walk or bike to work, especially in the winter. And we have no bus system. My house is 40 years old and it would take a lot of money to get it refitted to be green and energy efficient.
Well, I don't really know if I believe in global warming either, or whether or not it was our doing or a natural change the Earth is going through. But you have to admit that we're living pretty irresponsibly here in the West.
I guess.
I think the issue at hand is sustainability. We've only got this one Earth we can live on, and our resources are quickly disappearing because of our own carelessness and our inability to think of anyone but ourselves and anything but the present.
So, like I was saying, we need to change the way we live. We need to reduce our carbon footprint.
But it doesn't have to be that drastic. Hybrid vehicles and solar panels are too expensive to be feasible right now. And we don't have to be hippies living off the land and buying everything organic either, though it helps.
I carpool to work every day with some buddies of mine. I have a rain barrel outside my house. I used to water my plants and my lawn in the summer. And I make sure I always bring reusable bags with me when I get my groceries. And we just started using biodegradable plastic made from corn oil for takeout orders at my family's restaurant. Remember the 3 R's? Reduce, reuse, recycle.
Exactly. It's just small, simple changes, like buying energy-saving light bulbs, starting a compost bin, recycling bottles and papers, using reusable water bottles, stop using disposable cups and cutlery.
Like the ones we're drinking out of?
Yeah.
All right, we're back. So, as you probably guessed, carbon footprint, it's pretty easy. You're talking about a footprint is the evidence you leave if you're walking on sand, for example.
Exactly.
And if we talk about carbon, we're talking about the element, right? Mm-hmm. Carbon.
Yep. So carbon is something that is in everything, basically. It's organic, but it can also, in the case of a carbon footprint, mean the amount of maybe waste or damage that we do to the earth or to the environment.
Right. So, for example, you're driving your car. We all know that the gas that is emitted from the exhaust pipe is CO2, right?
Yeah.
And that contains carbon. So that's a way of seeing that you're leaving a footprint of carbon. You are damaging the atmosphere a little bit by driving your car.
So in talking about a carbon footprint, we talk about having a low carbon footprint, which is good, or a very high carbon footprint, which is bad.
Right. So there were a lot of interesting things coming up in the dialogue. One of the first things was...
Well, the first thing that they're talking about in this dialogue is they're having kind of an argument about whether or not global warming and global climate change really exists.
Yeah, this is a very interesting part because some people say, well, global warming is happening, global warming is real, and other people say, well, it's not real, it's not really a problem, this is just a phase that the Earth will go through, and like everything, it'll disappear.
Well, I agree with people who say that the Earth goes through phases because sometimes there are centuries that are hotter and sometimes there are centuries that are colder, but I think it's undeniable that there has been a large and immediate global climate change in the last maybe 20 years.
Yeah, we're definitely speeding up maybe that cycle, right?
Exactly. And I think what's great evidence of this and terrible evidence of this is the 3 earthquakes, massive earthquakes that have happened in the last couple of months. And I think that earthquakes like last year and like this year are really, really important reminders that we do as humans influence the way that the world responds to us.
I think I always see it as the Earth kind of just shaking its back, kind of saying like, get off me, you know?
Stop it.
Stop it.
That itches.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's kind of the way I see earthquakes sometimes. But when they were talking about, well, is it real, is it not? They use a really interesting phrase when it says, it sounds like a bunch of mumbo jumbo.
Mumbo jumbo.
Yeah.
So this is a way to say that it sounds like a bunch of garbage, or it sounds like a bunch of gibberish. It sounds like a bunch of people are talking about something that doesn't really exist. So mumbo jumbo is basically something that's not really real or true.
I think, don't you also, can you use it as somebody that's saying something that you don't really understand?
Right. So if maybe I'm talking to you about something that's very academic and very scholarly, you say, sounds like a bunch of mumbo jumbo to me.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's what the person said, the environmental problems are a bunch of mumbo jumbo. But it was really interesting because they were like, well, we have to save the earth, and then there was actually a phrase here that was really kind of hard for me to understand when the person said, I mean, honestly, we live in the boonies.
Boonies.
So what does it mean by living in the boonies?
This is a very common word to hear in spoken English, especially with young people. Boonies means we live far away from civilization. We live far away from cities. We live far away from everything. So maybe these people live in the countryside or in a small village, and they don't feel like they're affected by what people in the big cities do.
Okay. So if you say, oh, I live in the boonies, you're just saying, I live really far.
Really far away. So this is a very common American word, I think. You can also say boondocks, which is like that movie Boondock Saints. But boondocks and boonies means very far away. So I could say, Marco, I'm not going to drive out to your house for a party. You live in the boonies.
Do you have any other ways that you can say that you live really far away?
You live in Egypt.
You live in Egypt.
Which for us in America is obviously very, very far away.
Sometimes we say...
Yonks.
Oh, the yonks, exactly.
Yonks, people in New Zealand say that.
I've also heard people say, oh, you live where the wind turns around.
Really?
Did you hear that one?
Yeah, I like that
it's like
one.
You live so far. Oh, God, you live where the wind turns around.
The end of the earth.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
So, well, there are a lot of different ways of saying that. So they were talking about different aspects of the environment, like we heard the word green or energy efficient.
Okay, so basically what they're doing is they're talking about some of the things they've heard in the media maybe or on TV about what people are supposed to be doing. You know, these are very abstract. That means these are very kind of big terms. Go green or be more energy efficient.
Yeah, I've heard this. Like, for example, when people say, oh, you have to be more green or go green, that means more friendly towards the ecosystem, right?
That's right. So this is a very general suggestion, and we can talk about specifics in a minute, but this is a very general suggestion for thinking about the environment and doing things to help it. And so go green or be green is a way to be more environmentally friendly. We also have using energy efficient computers or light bulbs or TVs.
Right.
And the third thing that they talk about, and this is something that comes up a lot, is sustainability. Okay.
Yeah, that's a big word that a lot of people like to use.
Yeah, it is.
In this type of topic, sustainability.
Right. So sustainability comes from the word to sustain. That means to hold out over time or to continue. So you think about something. Maybe sustainability is, I think, in many cases about doing or having habits, doing things that you can continue to do for a long time. For example, driving a big SUV to work every day is not keeping in mind sustainability because one day there will be no oil. So then what do we do?
Right.
So that's not a sustainable action. Sustainable actions mean that we have less impact, negative impact on the world.
Right. So basically what you're trying to do is to sustain, which means to hold, to withstand these habits, for example. Right. So when you talk about a sustainable ecosystem, it means that it has everything it needs and it can continue to work for a very, very long time.
Right. So you can also talk about sustainable development, which we talk about in aid and giving aid to other countries. So sustainable development is trying to help other countries or other people in ways that they can continue to do for a long time.
It's also very popular with tourism. They talk about sustainable tourism.
Right. That means thinking about the environment and having tourism that can last forever, not tourism that will destroy the environment because it's very harmful.
It's a very interesting topic, and as you say, it's used in a wide range of cases. Sustainable development, sustainable projects, sustainable tourism. There are a lot of different ways that people use this, but it's basically the same thing, right? In essence, it refers to that.
Yes, keeping something going over time. But I think the big question here is, if you want to go green, if you want to be environmentally friendly, what do you do? Because it's not about big ideas, it's about specifics. It's about changing your everyday actions, right?
Right.
So these guys had a couple of ideas.
Yeah, they came up with something like, for example, hybrid vehicles, which is a big thing now. Basically, hybrid means two, right? It's a combination of two or more.
That's right. So you know the Sphinx in Egypt? That's a hybrid.
Right, between a man and a lion.
Exactly.
Right. So a hybrid vehicle basically uses gasoline, but also electricity. So they're actually very efficient because
and they're quiet.
They're quiet, and usually where you use up most of your gasoline is in traffic because you're car is on, you're accelerating, you're braking, you're accelerating, you're braking. So in this case, I think hybrid vehicles run on the electric engine until they hit, I think it's 30 miles per hour, yeah. And once you surpass that, then it switches to the gas engine, which obviously if you have a constant high speed, it's more efficient, the combustion of the gasoline.
Exactly. So a good example of a hybrid vehicle is the Toyota Prius.
Right. I think it was like the first one commercially available.
But now they have all kinds, and they're actually trying to make entirely electric cars. So lots of things to watch out for there. But they also talked about something for the house, right? So if you want to not just have a nice car that is environmentally friendly, but also to do things with your house, what can you put on your roof?
I think we've seen a lot of these. These are called solar panels.
Okay, solar has to do with the sun. So solar power, solar panel, that means energy that comes from the sun. So the sun. And a panel is like a pad or like a some kind of device that can take the energy from the sun.
Yeah, it's really, really good. Basically, you know, in some places you have anywhere between 8 to 12 hours of sunlight. So the whole day, these panels are absorbing energy. You can store them maybe in batteries and then just use them later. So basically, you don't really need to use electricity that comes from coal or from nuclear power plants because, you know, if you want to turn on a light, it doesn't really use up a lot of electricity.
And there's no waste.
It's all clean.
So my question for you, does Ecuador have a lot of solar panels everywhere? Because you guys have so much sunlight down there.
We don't really have a lot of them. It's not a big commercial thing yet, but there are a lot of projects going around to help implement these things a lot better. For example, taking these technologies to the countryside where people don't have access to electricity by means of cables, right? So they're implementing that there, getting them to use it, but it's still expensive. That's the problem with solar panels is that, of course, it's an energy efficient way of going. It'll save you money in the long run, but up front you got to spend a lot of money.
Well, and here's a good way to use sustaining. If someone in the countryside has solar panels in their house, it's a self-sustaining way to produce energy. You don't have to depend on another place or a person.
Yeah, actually, this is a very popular thing in many developed countries. I remember when I was living in Chile, big buildings were being marketed as energy efficient and green by showing that they can be self-sustaining. So basically, they would have solar panels on the roof. They would collect sunlight all day, and then they had big batteries that would store this energy, and then you can use it. They were more efficient into keeping heat or keeping the cold. And also what we saw in the vocab that they also had was rain barrels. So basically collecting water from the rain, and then they can use this water obviously through a filtering system in order to be able to drink it or to wash your clothes and stuff. But basically they would say that it could reduce your carbon footprint by more than 50%, and also the amount of money you would spend, because you wouldn't spend so much money on water, you wouldn't spend so much money on electricity or gas and things like this.
That's awesome. Well, one of the biggest concerns as far as environmentalism is water. Where water will come from in 50 years. Because there is a limited amount of fresh water in the world. And if we can reuse rainwater and collect it, I think it's brilliant. So a barrel basically is like a big container. It's circular. It's like a circle, and it stands up on the ground or on a roof.
And it's brilliant because if you have a rain barrel that collects all this rain, and you have solar panels, basically you don't need gas or electricity to take a warm shower. You just have the solar panels that can heat up the rain barrel water, and there you have a warm water. You have a warm shower.
Nice. You have sun-kissed warmth, and you have like fresh rainwater. And
but the whole water issue is a very popular topic. I recommend that any of our listeners read. There's a very interesting article that talks about, don't worry about petroleum running out in 50 years. We're probably going to run out of our water before that. And they project droughts and huge famine in places like India, like in the Middle East, in even in places of China.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, not to scare anyone.
But yeah, it's interesting reading though. Yeah, it's really good.
Very serious stuff. Well, the last thing that I think we should talk about before we listen to today's audio file again is the compost bin. Now, this is maybe something that's hard to understand for someone who's never seen one before. But basically, compost is well, the verb is compost, to compost, but it's also a noun. But a lot of people, they don't want to throw away their food and their, organic material, things like flowers and food and biodegradable things. They actually reuse them. So basically, they have a space in the backyard of the house where they throw away all the old food.
Yeah.
Nothing plastic, nothing non-biodegradable. And that over time turns into fertilizer or mulch for their gardens.
Yeah.
So basically, you're putting it back into the earth.
Yeah. No, this is a very good option, and I remember seeing that even in Brazil, they have huge compost bins or compost places that they fill up with this garbage, and obviously things that decompose start to emit methane gas.
Yeah.
So they've found a way to harness this gas, transport it through tubes, and start using it. So actually having gas stoves with this methane gas.
That's brilliant. So you can get two uses,
Right.
fertilizer and methane gas.
Yeah,
Very
so
smart.
there are a lot of options there to go green, to do your part to help the earth.
Wow. So let's listen again to the dialogue that we had today. Hopefully we've cleared up some of the things that were confusing for you, and we'll be back in just a moment.
So what's your guys' take on all this global warming hysteria in the media?
It's pretty serious, man. There have been tons of scientific studies, and the scientific community says that the Earth is heating up. We need to make some drastic changes to our lifestyle if we want to preserve our planet.
I don't know. It sounds like a bunch of mumble jumble if you ask me. The Earth will save itself. It survived the worst disasters in the past. I mean, honestly, we live in the boonies. There's no way anyone here is ever going to walk or bike to work, especially in the winter. And we have no bus system. My house is 40 years old, and it would take a lot of money to get it refitted to be green and energy efficient.
Well, I don't really know if I believe in global warming either, or whether or not it was our doing or a natural change the Earth is going through. But you have to admit that we're living pretty irresponsibly here in the West.
I guess.
I think the issue at hand is sustainability. We've only got this one Earth we can live on, and our resources are quickly disappearing because of our own carelessness and our inability to think of anyone but ourselves and anything but the present.
So, like I was saying, we need to change the way we live. We need to reduce our carbon footprint.
But it doesn't have to be that drastic. Hybrid vehicles and solar panels are too expensive to be feasible right now. And we don't have to be hippies living off the land and buying everything organic either, though it helps.
I carpool to work every day with some buddies of mine. I have a rain barrel outside my house I use to water my plants and my lawn in the summer, and I make sure I always bring reusable bags with me when I get my groceries. And we just started using biodegradable plastic made from corn oil for takeout orders at my family's restaurant. Remember the 3 R's? Reduce, reuse, recycle.
Exactly. It's just small, simple changes, like buying energy-saving light bulbs, starting a compost bin, recycling bottles and papers, using reusable water bottles, stop using disposable cups and cutlery.
Like the ones we're drinking out of?
Yeah.
All right, we're back. So it's a very interesting topic, very debatable. We have Earth Day coming up, I think. You have to turn off your lights for an hour.
That's right, Earth Hour, Earth Day. So remember, reduce, reuse, recycle, the 3 R's.
Yeah.
Think about the way that you use things and, try and reuse them if you can.
Yeah, it's a very good topic. We want to know what you think about it. And also, if you have any suggestions or any comments about future advanced lessons, why don't you tell us? Come to englishpod.com, and we'll see everyone there.
Bye.
Bye. The English Pod Audio Review. Listen to the meaning, then say the vocabulary word.
Unintelligible or incomprehensible language. Mumbo jumbo. Gain heat or get hot. Heat up. Maintain in safety from injury, peril, or harm. Preserve. Rural, country, or jungle. Boonies. Keep in existence and maintain. Sustainability. Sudden and severe. Drastic. Capable of being done with means at hand. Feasible. Add new parts. Refit. Prepare and equip for additional use. Refit. Available source of wealth. Resource. Share the car with others to work. Carpool.
Let's try that faster.
Sudden and severe. Drastic. Capable of being done with means at hand. Feasible. Maintain in safety from injury, peril, or harm. Preserve. Prepare and equip for additional use. Refit. Unintelligible or incomprehensible language. Mumbo jumbo. Share the car with others to work. Carpool. Rural, country, or jungle. Boonies. Keep in existence and maintain. Sustainability. Available source of wealth. Resource. Gain heat or get hot. Heat up. Add new parts. Refit.
Now say the word and hear it in a sentence.
Mumbo jumbo. That's a load of mumbo jumbo. There is no such thing as aliens. Mumbo jumbo. That's a bunch of mumbo jumbo. You guys like each other and get along well together, so you should at least try one date. Mumbo jumbo. Some people say that what the Bible teaches is a bunch of mumbo jumbo, but I think there's some truth to it. Preserve. By living responsibly, we can preserve our planet for generations to come. Preserve. If you don't start preserving your relationship with your sister now, I'm afraid it will only get worse. Preserve. This historical building has been preserved since the 19th century. Refit. My sister had her living room refitted with a new entertainment system. Refit. The mountain climbers arrived at the base camp, got refitted, and set off again the next morning. Refit. For my birthday, my wife surprised me by refitting my car with a leather interior. Sustainability. Sustainability consists of living one's life in a way that sustains the earth. Sustainability. Sustainability is starting to catch on, and many companies are finding greener ways to make their products. Sustainability. This store is all about sustainability. They sell clothes made from organic materials, purses made from recycled aluminum and plastic, as well as notebooks made with recycled paper. Resource. We need to start finding alternative energy sources because our resources of carbon and oil are limited. Resource. The way we are living is rapidly depleting many of our natural resources. Resource.
Don't wait. Subscribe now and start your journey to better English. Turn on notifications so you never miss a new lesson. Like, comment, and share with others who want to learn English too. Let's learn together and make English easy and fun. By following our channel, you will notice a big improvement in your English skills. Our content is simple, clear, and useful for everyday conversations. Whether you're at home, walking, or relaxing, you can listen anytime and keep learning. The more you listen, the faster you will improve. Why should you subscribe? Because our channel helps you learn English in an easy and enjoyable way. You will hear different topics, practice new words, and understand English better. We make learning fun and stress-free, so you can feel confident using English in real life. Are you looking for an easy and fun way to learn English? Welcome to our channel. We provide simple and clear English conversations to help you improve your English skills. Whether you are a beginner or want to get better at speaking, listening, reading, or writing, our channel is the perfect place for you. Perfect.